Today, you're going to learn about the 6 dumbest mistakes smart people make when hiring a website designer. These are the same tips that I've shared in my article that's ranked #1 on Google for Hire a Web Designer and Website Designer for the last 5 years. You're going to learn exactly what mistakes most smart people make and how to avoid them. I'm Victor Thomas, founder of Thomas Digital, and I help small businesses with their websites and marketing. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. You'll get website and marketing tips that you won't find anywhere else. This is a video that other website designers don't want you to see. Why is that? Because most website designers like to make themselves seem like they're all-powerful wizards with magical powers that they can use, and they use mysterious and intimidating language to kind of confuse and intimidate their clients into thinking that they actually have more powers than they actually do. This guide will help demystify the process of hiring a website designer. So without further ado, let's get started. Mistake #1, paying too little. So the way most people think about it when they approach their website project is they think, I've got X amount of money. If the less money I spend, the more money I get to keep in my pocket. Therefore, if I spend less money, I win. When the way they should really think about it is in terms of opportunity cost. So Warren Buffett, who's widely considered like the greatest investor in the world, says that the most important thing to consider in an investment is opportunity cost. So what is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is just the idea that it's not, what would happen if I spent this? Like, what would happen if I bought this Squarespace site or if I used Wix? It's the idea of like, what are all the options together? And out of all the different options, what's the best return on investment given all those opportunities? So instead of thinking, oh, I could just spend less money on a Squarespace site, or I could spend a lot of money on an agency or whatever, you have to think about it in terms of like, what's the best return on investment of all the different things I could do, including not getting a website. Another thing you have to think about just in terms of paying too little, you want to think about like the value of your time. If you think about IKEA, they're able to charge way less money for their furniture because they don't have to hire furniture assemblers. They just rely on their customers to assemble the furniture for them. And so kind of using a Wix or a Squarespace site is very much like that. You're trading money for your time, and you're also really not an expert. Just as you're not an expert furniture builder, you're not an expert website designer or marketer. So when you do it, you're not really getting the same kind of quality or skill that you would if you actually hired a professional. Mistake #2, paying too much. So this is the exact opposite of mistake #1. And, let me start by just explaining a little secret to you. A lot of people think that when they hire a professional website designer that they'll get like a real website, and that like a WordPress website or a Wix website or a Squarespace website, those aren't like the real websites, but like Apple is. And the dirty little secret is all websites run on the exact same code. It's all, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, or PHP, but mostly like the front end stuff, it's just CSS, HTML, and all websites use the same code. So there's really no such thing as a real website. And the mistake when people think when they hire like a really expensive agency is usually what happens is they'll get like a slick salesperson that comes in and sells them on the idea of like a really, expensive website. But when you work with an agency, often the person you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis is a very junior level person. So your actual experience and what you're getting is not really as big of a quality as you might think, especially given the price that you're paying for. If you've ever visited like an agency or seen kind of pictures on their website, you'll notice they have like really nice offices with like ping pong tables and things like that. And you might be asking yourself like, wow, I wonder how they can afford to have such cool stuff. And the answer is it's because they charge so much for their websites. That money doesn't necessarily always go into your project. It's more just kind of in building their brand and their image as a big agency. Mistake #3, hiring a designer. So what do I mean by that? So a lot of times when you hire a website designer, you're really hiring essentially like an artist and someone who's just completely wrapped up in the aesthetics. Like all they care about are like the latest trends in fonts or colors or placement. And don't get me wrong, that's valuable, but only to a certain degree. But let me stop and ask you this. What's the purpose of a website? Is it to look good? Is it to win awards? Is it so that your friends like it? Well, the answer is it's none of those things. As far as I'm concerned, the purpose of a website is simply to make money. right? And so you have to think about a website in terms of a business owner and a marketer. And really the way I think about it is like there's a person, they're looking for something, and then there's a next step that they want to take. And that's first and foremost in the design process. And you really want to think like a marketer when you're putting together your website. And a mistake that people often make is they hire someone who's really just more of an artist, and they really don't have a marketing or business mind when they're putting together the website. So they don't really think about it. They just think about aesthetics or fonts or layouts, but they really don't put all the pieces together that this is actually supposed to make money. And like, that's the goal of the website. Mistake number 4, not thinking about the back end. So what do I mean by a back end? Well, a website is a lot like an iceberg. You know how like only 20% of the iceberg is above the surface and the other 80% is below? Well, that's like your website. And a lot of people, most of my clients, when they think about the website, they're only thinking about what they see, and they're not thinking about all the code that lies beneath it. And it's really kind of a big deal. And how well it's coded, both for you to easily edit and update the site on your own, because that could be a nightmare. And if it takes an extra 4 or 5 hours of your time that it shouldn't to edit the site, like what's the cost of that? And then there's also like how well the site is coded for speed, for security, so that Google kind of likes the site, for tagging and descriptions. Like all of that would be like the back end of your site. And most people don't even think about it when they're hiring a website designer. So what should you do? You should, number one, whoever you think of hiring, ask if you can kind of look under the hood and see an example site that they've developed and kind of go through the back end, see how easy it is for you to edit and update, run it through some tools. There's a couple great tools. Just type in Google Page Speed, and that will tell you how quick the site is. And there's all kinds of security plugins you can look for as well that will tell you how well coded the site is. And that's kind of like a big deal when thinking about who you should hire. Mistake number 5, not doing your due diligence. So a lot of people work by referral. They hear someone that they know, or someone, their friend's kid from college can do a website for them or something like that. And they really don't investigate the website designer, see how many reviews that they have. Do they have any negative reviews? And most of all, above all else, you can really cut out the noise. At the end of the day, it's, do you like their portfolio? Do you like the portfolio of the company that you're thinking of working with? So let me share with you a little secret. One thing that you can do is, obviously you're looking at the portfolio of the company you're thinking of working with, and you're seeing the sites that they've done, but they're not going to list their whole portfolio. They're just going to list the sites that they're, very proud of. But if you want to see all the sites that they've ever done, typically, a website company will, at the bottom of every site they make, will have some kind of a special signature. It'll be like a key phrase, website designed by XYZ industry or something like that. And you just copy that phrase and put it into Google and put quotation marks around it. And it will return to you all the sites that they've developed, even the ones that are not listed on their portfolio. And you can kind of check those out. You can talk to the owners of those businesses and see what they thought, and really kind of get a better sense of who you're thinking of working with. But really, at the end of the day, it's, do you like their portfolio? If you don't love the portfolio that you see, it's unlikely that you're going to love the site that they make for you. Mistake number 6 is hiring someone who does not practice what they preach. So just like you wouldn't hire an overweight personal trainer, you shouldn't probably hire a website designer with an ugly website, an SEO expert who doesn't rank well on Google, an internet marketing expert who has to cold call people for outreach, things like that. Typically, if there's any kind of disconnect where, they're assuring you that they do great design, but you don't really love their design, that's probably a problem. For fun, the other day I was on Fiverr, and there was like these little things that you could buy where they would review your website design for whatever it was, 10, 15 bucks. And the layout and design of their ad for it was so poorly designed, it made me wonder why anyone would want to hire that for their website design. And so that's what you should look out for. Just use some common sense. If they don't rank for anything in SEO, don't pay them for SEO. If they don't have a good looking website, don't hire them to design yours. And if they contacted you through, cold outreach, unless they're just, a designer and they're not telling you they're doing internet marketing services, then don't hire them for that. So there you have it. Those are the 6 dumbest mistakes smart people make when hiring a website designer. So if you've made it this far, you're probably looking to hire a website designer for your website project. If that's the case, then I'd love to make you an offer you can't refuse. I will design a free custom mock-up of your new site before you sign or pay for anything. The way that works is, step one, visit our site, thomasdigital.com. On that site, you can learn more about our services, fill out the contact form, and tell us a little bit more about your project. We'll then schedule a brief call to learn a little bit more about your needs for the site and the scope of the project. After the call, we'll get back to you within 1 business day with a proposal for the website project. The proposal will outline, here's the budget, here's the scope, here's everything that's included. If that proposal works for you, you don't need to sign or pay for anything, but I would work with you just like you were my client. I'll send you a website questionnaire. It'll ask you about other websites you like the look and feel of, that kind of thing. Once you complete the questionnaire and send it back, we'll put together a mock-up for the homepage of the new site. A mock-up is just a picture of what the new site could look like. And then once you receive it, if you like it and want to move forward, we would do so at the terms outlined in the proposal. And if not, then there's no hard feelings and no other obligations. So let me know if you have any questions about the free mock-up. Please visit thomasdigital.com to learn more about that. So what do you think? Did I miss any dumb mistakes that people make when hiring a website designer? I want to hear your feedback. Please leave your comments and I'll answer every single one of them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.